In the Money is made possible by financial support from Old National Bank and Chicagoans like you.
Good evening, Chicago, and welcome to In the Money. I'm your host, Tamara Durbin. A long life isn't just a blessing, it's a responsibility. The question is, are you prepared for it? We all say we want to live a long life. We pray for it, we work for it, we hope for more time, more moments, more years. But let me ask you something. Is your money prepared for you to actually live that long life? Because when something feels far away, we tend to put it on the back burner. We focus on what feels urgent, what's due right now, what needs our attention today. And listen, I understand. For some of you, you're doing what you need to do to keep the lights on. But even in that, starting somewhere is always better than doing nothing at all. At the same time, some of us are living life, enjoying it, figuring it out as we go, but not thinking about the future in a real intentional way. And what we don't always realize is this: time is one of our most valuable financial assets when it comes to retirement. The earlier we start, the more options we have. The longer we wait, the harder we have to work to catch up. And then there's the conversation we avoid altogether: estate planning. We don't like to think about it or talk about it, but the truth is, one day we will all leave this earth. And when that time comes, the question becomes, will we leave chaos or will we leave order for the people we love? Your family shouldn't have to fight each other or navigate the courts while they're also trying to process grief. That's what planning does. It brings clarity, protection, and peace. So tonight, this conversation is bigger than money. It's about being honest with ourselves, taking responsibility, and making sure the life we're praying for, we're actually preparing for. Because a long life without a plan can become a burden instead of a blessing. So in this episode, my goal is simple: to move you to action. Whether that means starting your retirement plan or getting consistent or finally putting your estate plan in place. I want you to leave this episode not just informed, but ready to do something. On the other side of the break, I'll be joined by certified financial planner Tim Obendorf to break down what you should be doing right now to prepare for retirement, no matter your age or stage of life. Stay with us.
They say television is about sitting back. We say it's about stepping up. Your block has stories worth telling. Your neighbors have voices worth hearing. Chicago has a heartbeat worth sharing. Stop watching their world. Start showing yours. It's time to tune in and be seen. Can TV, always here, always yours. Experience the power of community television.
Welcome back. My first guest is Tim Obendorf, certified financial planner with Stewart Advisors. Welcome to In the Money, Tim.
Well, thanks for having me on your show.
Thanks for coming on. So today we're talking about retirement and estate planning. We all know that everyone wants to live a long life, but the question is, are they financially prepared? So what does being retirement ready really mean in today's world?
Well, when you talk about long life, most people know life expectancy is near 80 years. But if you think about a married couple typically retiring at age 65, there's a 44% chance that one of them lives to 95.
Wow.
And there's a 16% chance that one of them lives to 100. So you need to be financially prepared to be able to fund your retirement. But you also need to be prepared for your lifestyle. So that's a lot of time that you need to think about things that are going to bring you purpose and meaning in your life.
If someone is in their 20s, what should they be doing to start to prepare for retirement?
Well, it's really simple. Get started.
Okay.
So Albert Einstein said compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. And when you're in your 20s, you have a long time to take advantage of this compound interest. So get started. Don't worry about the details. Get started. Start saving. The other thing I would say is learn how to manage your money, create a budget process. It has to work for you. So make a process that, if you're a super detailed person, gets down to the penny, but if you're not a detailed person, is something that you can keep month to month and track your spending. So get started and start working on a financial management system.
Okay. Now let's move into the 30s. Those that are in their 30s, we know people are starting, getting into their career, they have kids, and they're starting to balance life. What should they be doing to stay on track? Or even if they didn't start in their 20s, what should they be doing for retirement?
Well, in your 30s, there's a lot of demands, financially, time-wise, but you still have to keep focused on your retirement. So make sure that retirement savings is still one of your top priorities. And in your 30s, you're also going to be experiencing a stage where more and more people are dependent on you. So you need to manage some of the risks that could happen to you to make sure that your family is taken care of. If it's your spouse or your kids, make sure you have the right insurance, whether that's life insurance, medical insurance, long-term disability insurance. And then the other thing is that's a time when you can invest in your career. So education or experiences can really pay dividends, and you have a potentially long career to be able to reap those dividends. So invest in your career.
So now let's move to the 40s.
Well, hopefully the 40s are a high income period of your life. And as your income increases, one of the things I suggest is take, for instance, if you get an annual increase of, say, maybe 4%, take 2% of that and add that to your 401k contribution or to your retirement savings, and you'll never miss it. You'll also be in a place in your career where you might be able to take advantage of company-sponsored stock purchase plans, or if you can participate in a 401k and get a match, that's free money that you should be taking advantage of. Also, as your assets grow, you want to make sure that they're invested in tax-advantaged accounts. So take advantage of IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, and those will serve you well because it's not just what you earn, but it's what you keep. So you want to make sure you manage your taxes on your investments as well.
Now let's move to the 50s, and I'm getting close to this decade. So tell those that are in their 50s, we know that this can be crunch time for some people if they have not already started. So what should they be focused on?
Well, one of the main things to focus on in your 50s is to pay down debt and don't accumulate more debt. So in your 50s, if you're buying a new car, wait a year or so you can buy that car with cash or as much cash as possible. You may have student loans of your own, or you may have student loans for your kids. Pay those down. And then also make sure that you're taking advantage of any employee benefits that you can. This may be a time to begin building a financial plan. It might be a good time to actually engage a financial planner so that you can figure out what is that retirement nest egg goal, and have a concrete number in mind that you can work towards.
Now let's move to those that are either in their late 50s or early 60s, and those that are actually getting close to transitioning to retirement, or actually thinking about, okay, this may be the time I want to retire. What should they be doing or thinking about as they consider that time?
Well, one of the main things is to create a retirement budget. And that may be very similar to your spending budget in your working years, but there's some things that are going to change. As you have more free time, you'll have some expenses for hobbies and travel, but you also won't have things like commuting expenses. So your budget's going to change. You need to get a baseline of what's it going to look like in retirement, and then actually build a retirement projection, a plan that takes a look at all your resources, all your potential expenses in retirement and stress tests that. So, if there are bad markets or unexpected events like healthcare events, that it's stress tested to be able to take care of those unexpected events.
So the last question I want to ask you is, there's been a lot going on in our economy over the last almost year and a half now. Some people were forced into retirement or laid off. If you were to give them one piece of advice today, what would that be?
Yeah, I saw an interesting survey where people that were in their working years expected to retire at 65, but people who were actually retired, their average retirement age was 62. So about half of those were early retirements because of unexpected events, so layoffs or medical events. One of the big challenges if you're facing early retirement, sooner than you planned, was how do you fund your medical expenses? And so one thing I've seen people do is take a part-time job or take, maybe it's not as intense of a job as your full-time career, but take a job that might have company-sponsored medical insurance, and then retest that plan that you built in your 50s. So things have changed a little bit, but rerun that plan, see if it's still working or if there's things that you might need to change, and that'll set you up for when you actually decide you no longer want to work at all.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tim. I hope that our viewers were taking notes, figuring out which decade they're in, and taking your advice. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
On the other side of the break, I'll be joined by attorney Ted London. Stay with us.
Got something to say about Chicago? Now's your chance to be heard. Chicago Newsroom 2.0 is launching Opinion, a new segment where everyday Chicagoans take the mic. Whether it's a neighborhood issue that's been ignored, a citywide concern that needs attention, or a fresh idea that could change our city, we want to hear from you. Submit your commentary at cantv.org/opinion. If selected, we'll invite you on air to share your perspective with all of Chicago. Experience the power of community television.
Joining the conversation now is attorney Ted London with the Law Office of Theodore London and Associates. Welcome to In the Money, Attorney London.
Good evening. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm so glad that you're here. I know people don't want to talk about this topic, but it's a topic that's necessary, estate planning. So I'm so glad that you are here to bring your expertise. And what is estate planning in its basic form?
Well, estate planning essentially is a plan where folks can determine who's going to get their assets once they go to heaven, if you will. Typically, real estate and financial accounts.
Okay. What are the essential documents that you would say that everyone should have in place?
Well, there's really three primary documents that everyone should really have in place. Everyone should have a living trust. A living trust is a document where folks are going to get to name who's going to manage their assets after them and who's going to be the beneficiaries. One of the benefits of the living trust is it's going to keep their assets, real estate, and financial accounts out of probate court. Okay. Also, everyone needs power of attorneys. There are two kinds of power of attorneys. There's a power of attorney for health care. There's a power of attorney for property. What they do is they allow folks to name someone to be in a position to make health care and business decisions for them if they ever need someone to make them for them. So there are two, one for health care, one for business matters. Everyone needs them both. And then minimally, everyone needs at least to have named current beneficiaries on all of their financial accounts, checking, savings, mutual funds, 401ks, stocks, bonds, CDs, credit unions, life insurance policies, to avoid the loved ones from having to go through the expensive, time-consuming, stressful probate process. So living trust, power of attorneys, beneficiaries on all your accounts.
So is it enough for them just to have beneficiaries? Because you said you named it. Do they still need those documents?
Well, you can have a living trust primarily for your real estate to keep the real estate out of the probate process. And you can actually transfer your financial accounts into your living trust as well, primarily if you want to leave money to minor children, special needs loved ones, or if you just don't want your adult loved ones to get the money in a lump sum, then you should transfer those accounts into a living trust, and then you can be very specific in which those folks are going to be entitled to the money. If you name folks as beneficiaries on your accounts, that is going to be sufficient to keep the money out of probate court, but you're not going to be able to name any special instructions on how they're going to be entitled to the money.
Okay. Why is it important to try to stay out of probate court?
Well, one of the things about probate court is the fact that if one has a will, it will send their loved ones through the probate process. A will does not keep your assets out of probate court. A will send it through the probate process. Probate court is expensive, it is time consuming, and it can be very stressful. So we want to avoid probate court. If and a will send your loved ones through the probate process. I can't stress that enough. So normally we don't encourage our clients to do wills because we want them to avoid the probate process. A living trust will avoid the probate process. There's some other benefits having your assets in a living trust, privacy benefits, protection against judgments. And again, with a living trust, you get to be very specific about the conditions in which your loved ones are going to be entitled to your money and your real estate.
You just named some differences between the will and the trust. Are there any other differences between the will and the trust other than what you named?
Yes, another primary difference between a will and a trust is a will is a public document. That's a public proceeding. The probate process is. So you can actually go to any probate court in the country, ask for someone's name if you have the case number, and you can actually pull the file and you can see what's in the estate, who's going to get what. If you have a living trust, that's a private document. So we have a lot of retirees, a lot of pastors, a lot of business owners, folks who want to keep their plans private. So one of the primary differences between a will and a trust is wills public, living trusts are private documents.
Okay, so for our viewers that say, okay, Attorney London, I don't have a lot. So I know you say I need like trust and will, but I don't really have a lot to leave to people. Why should they have estate planning and some of the other documents that you named?
Well, here's what's interesting about when people say that they don't have a lot. Oftentimes they underestimate what they have accumulated. Homes are valuable. They're increasing in value annually. Oftentimes folks don't even recognize how much money they have accumulated. And no matter what you have accumulated, if you have real estate, you should have a living trust, minimally. If you have any financial accounts at all, again, you can transfer those accounts into your living trust or at least have beneficiaries on all of your accounts. Not say current beneficiaries, because we've seen folks who have people on as beneficiaries who they're no longer married to, who have already passed away, they don't even like anymore. So you have to make sure you have updated beneficiaries on all of your accounts. One other thing as well, your loved ones have to know where the accounts are. These days, so many folks are doing online banking and the families don't get the statements anymore. It becomes very difficult for them to find the accounts if they don't know where they are.
As you've worked with clients over the years, what has been the biggest issues that you have seen that families run into when their loved one did not have a plan in place?
Well, when folks don't have a plan, when families don't have plans to determine who's going to get the real estate after mom or dad or grandparents, or who's going to get the money after mom or dad or grandparents, really what amounts to for the families is a lot of stress, a lot of time, a lot of fighting, and a lot of expense. So if you don't get these things in order, again, families fight, feud, and it becomes expensive because all sides now have lawyers are billing, and it becomes unnecessarily expensive to unravel what families haven't really taken care of during their lifetime. So really it's the expense.
So for parents that are watching, what should they have in place to make sure their children are protected and provided for?
Well, that's a great question, because what we know is after children become 18 years old or older, parents can't just freely get information about their children, and they can't freely make decisions for them. So oftentimes around August or so, we get a rush of parents whose children are going to college to do power of attorney. So parents need to have power of attorneys for their children, one for healthcare, one for business matters, because after they turn 18, if there's an incident with the child, again, even a parent can't just get information for the benefit of making decisions for their children if they don't have the power of attorney. So parents need power of attorneys for their children.
Oh my goodness, Attorney Lane, that was such good information, because a lot of parents do not know that.
Well, Here's what's interesting as well. Even our clients who've been married for 50 years or longer, they still need power of attorneys for one another, because just because you've been married to someone for decades does not give you the right or the authority to make decisions for them without the power of attorney. So even long-term married couples need power of attorneys as well. Everyone should have power of attorneys, one for healthcare, one for business matters.
Thank you so much, Attorney London, for your expertise. I hope our viewers were taking notes because you provided some invaluable information today.
It is my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
On the other side of the break, Ben Jorgens returns with a fresh installment of Money Matters. Stay with us.
They say television is about sitting back. We say it's about stepping up. Your block has stories worth telling. Your neighbors have voices worth hearing. Chicago has a heartbeat worth sharing. Stop watching their world. Start showing yours. It's time to tune in and be seen. Can TV, always here, always yours. Experience the power of community television.
Here now with this week's installment of Money Matters is Old National Bank's Ben Jorgens.
Hey everyone, today we're going to keep it simple. Retirement planning is about taking care of the future you. An estate plan is about taking care of the people that you love if something happens to you. So let's start with retirement. Retirement planning answers one big question. When I stop working or slow down, where will my paycheck come from? Most people, it's a mix of Social Security, savings, and retirement accounts through a work like 401k or 403b. Here are 3 simple retirement moves that can make a big difference. Number 1, start where you are. If you can only put away a small amount each paycheck, that still counts. Consistency matters more than perfection. Number 2, don't leave free money on the table. If your employer offers a match, like they add money when you contribute, try to contribute at least enough to get the full match. Don't leave free money on the table. Number 3, know your number. A quick starting point is to estimate your monthly expenses in retirement: housing, food, utilities, transportation, and healthcare. And then compare that to the income that you expect from Social Security and savings. One more easy tip. Most people get a raise over time, often around 3% a year. Now, if your plan allows it, set your retirement contribution to auto increase by 1% each year. If you get a raise and you send a small piece of it to your retirement, you can still bring home more money than you did before. The key is to be careful about the lifestyle creep. Try not to spend the whole raise. Now let's talk estate planning. Here's the plain English definition. An estate plan is your set of instructions for what happens to your money, your home, and your responsibilities if you pass away. Or if you're alive but can't make the decisions for yourself. A lot of people think, I'm not wealthy, so I don't need that. But estate planning isn't about being rich, it's about making things easier for your family and making sure that your wishes are followed. Here are 4 estate planning basics, no legal jargon. Number 1, check your beneficiaries. Many accounts like life insurance and retirement accounts let you name who gets the money. Those names can override a will, so review them, especially after a marriage, divorce, or a death in the family. Number 2, have a simple will. A will says who receives what, and if you have kids, who you want their guardian. Number 3, pick decision makers. A financial power of attorney names someone to handle bills and finances if you can't. A healthcare directive names someone to make medical decisions if you're unable to speak for yourself. Number 4, write it down and tell someone where it is. The best plan in the world doesn't help if nobody can find it. Keep documents in a safe place and let a trusted person know how to access them. Here's how retirement and estate planning connect. Retirement planning helps you build and protect your money while you're living, and estate planning helps your money and your wishes transfer smoothly to the next chapter. So if you want a simple this week action plan, do these 2 things. Number 1, log in and review your retirement account and your beneficiary choices. And then number 2, make a list of your key accounts and the person you'd want making decisions if you couldn't. And if you're not sure where to start, that's okay. Start small, ask questions, and get the right help. Talk with a trusted financial professional and an estate attorney to make sure that your plan fits your life. And remember, this is for general education, not legal or tax advice.
The Book of Wisdom says, the good leave an inheritance to their children's children. That piece of wisdom reminds us that legacy isn't just about what we leave behind. It's about how we prepare while we're still here, financially and intentionally. Wherever you are in your financial journey, I want you to hear me clearly. Retirement is not optional, it's essential. It should be one of the buckets in your budget. Now, whether that bucket is small, growing, or already flowing, that depends on when you start and how consistent you are. And I know sometimes those numbers can feel big. They can feel overwhelming. But here's the shift. When you build your life around paying your future self first, it gets easier over time. It becomes a habit, not a burden. And if your employer offers a match on your 401k, that is a blessing. That's one of the simplest ways to start building toward the retirement life you desire. At the end of the day, we're not just working to survive today. We're working to enjoy life now and build a life we can sustain later. Now, while you're building for your future, there's another part of the plan that protects everything you're working for, and that's your estate plan. It's not just about growing wealth. It's about making sure it's handled the right way. And let's be clear, estate planning is not just about when you leave this earth. It's also about what happens if something happens to you and you can't handle your own affairs. It's about protection, clarity, and making sure your voice is still heard even when you can't speak for yourself. Now, I want to be real with you. Last season, while we were having this conversation on this show, I was working on my own estate plan. And I'll be honest, it was a lot to think about. It stretched me, it made me uncomfortable, but I pushed through and I finished. Why? Because I have a son that I love dearly, and I needed to make sure that if anything ever happens to me, everything is taken care of for him. And many of you know my story as a widow. Losing someone you love is already hard, but trying to handle business while you're grieving, that's a different kind of weight. And when you add family conflict or court involvement on top of that, it makes an already painful situation even harder. So hear me when I say this. One of the most loving things you can do for your family is to have a plan. That is part of your legacy. And the good news is, it's not too late. You're here, you're watching, which means you still have time to get this right. Here are your action steps from this episode. Number 1, get clear on your retirement vision. What does your life actually look like? How do you want to live? And what will it cost? Number 2, start preparing your money for the long life. Invest for retirement. If your employer offers a match, get to it as soon as possible and then work toward maxing it out. We'll say this again, do not leave free money on the table. And 3, get your estate plan in place. Find a trusted professional or resource and get it done. And if you already have one, make sure it's updated and reflects your life today. Because we all say we want a long life, but now it's time to ask yourself, are you financially ready for it? On the next edition of In the Money, we'll explore the question, is entrepreneurship right for you? And Ben Jorgens is back with a fresh installment of Money Matters. In the meantime, if you have any questions about today's topic or any financial question, send them to me. Email me at tamara@moneybasicsonline.com or follow me on Instagram at IamMoneyBasics. Also follow my guests on social media. I would love to keep this conversation going, so let's connect. Remember, we are on this journey together to get, stay, and grow in the money. See you next time.